Hi everyone. So I wanted to talk to you today about what it looks like to love someone and what it looks like to meet someone where they are. Because this is something that I have struggled with throughout my entire walk, and it's also something that I have continued to struggle with, and I've had to remind myself and actually talk myself through situations at times, because I tend to expect more from people than what they're able to give to me. And what I mean by that is it's taken me 11 years to get to where I am in my walk with Christ, and I've learned a lot along the way, and there's been different things that I have grown in, and I have increased my learning. And at times I tend to forget that someone else may not be on, they may not have increased at all within that 11 years. They may have increased in certain things in their life, but if they're not walking with the Lord or they're not surrendering to the Lord, they may not have increased in a good amount of who they are as a person. So sometimes I tend to expect more out of somebody. Like, I'm just going to use my husband as an example, because he is, although he's not a believer, he used to be a professing atheist, but he has not said that in a very long time. There has been change in him, quite a bit of change in him over the past 11 years. So he doesn't say anymore that he doesn't believe in God, but he's not ready to surrender. But then there's times that he will listen to something that I have to say. Sometimes he'll let me pray over him. Actually, a couple days ago, we passed a local church, and he said, maybe we should go there sometime. Like, he was interested in checking out that church. So the Lord is making progress in him. But the problem is, I see the progress in him, but I expect the progress to be further along than what it is. And I know that that's wrong. My expectations on him are wrong, because he has not got to a place where he has surrendered to the Lord. And so even though the Lord is working behind the scenes and the Lord is removing, what the Lord basically said to me is, it's cobwebs. I'm removing the cobwebs off of his eyes, the cobwebs off his heart. I am softening his heart to receive of me. So as this takes place, then my husband is more open to the things that the Lord wants to show him and the love the Lord wants to give him. That love that he wants to give him is going to come through me. But there's a lot of times I'm fighting against that. I'm struggling with things that my husband may have said, that he may have done. I'm expecting him to behave in a manner that he's not able to do, or he doesn't do it the way that I think he should do it. And it's not just him, because there's other people in my life. Like, I look at my children and I will see something in them, and I'm like, you know, how many times do I have to keep telling you that you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that? And I look at them, they're still doing it. Or they're doing it and they're hiding it, or they're doing it and they're not hiding it anymore. And I've realized that these are the levels that they're on. This is where they are right now. And the Lord wants me to love them where they are. He wants me to have patience with them. He wants me to give them grace and give them mercy to make mistakes, because that's the one thing that I think the Lord showed me a lot in myself. I wanted grace from the Lord if I made a mistake. I didn't want to be punished for it. I wanted to be beat over my head because I had a bad day, or because I thought this, or I said this. I wanted the Lord to forgive me. So when I went to the Lord and I repented, I knew my Father was going to forgive me. But at the same time, it was hard for me to extend that to someone else. And I found myself at times, especially with my husband, and I think it's because it's my husband, it's the person I spend the most time with. I wanted him to think a certain way or do a certain thing or act in a certain manner. And if he didn't, I was disappointed. I was disappointed that you didn't think enough of me to do this, or you didn't think enough of me to do that. And those thoughts that I had were wrong. Like, I'll give you an example, because you're probably like, what exactly are you talking about? I'll give you an example. So my husband would go to the gas station. He'd get gas and he'd go in and he'd get himself a Diet Pepsi. And he'd come home and he wouldn't bring anything for me. And I'm like, okay, so you just thought about yourself. You know, you didn't think about nobody but yourself. So he's like, well, I didn't know if you'd want anything, so I didn't get it. Okay, so I had to work through the thing of don't expect him to come home and bring you anything, because that's not how he's wired. He doesn't think that way. So if he came home and he had something for him and nothing for me, I had to learn how to be okay with that. I had to learn, like, don't expect that from him. Like, it's wrong to put that expectation. It's wrong to put that expectation on him. So then what happened was, one time he came home and he actually had, hey, great. Sorry, guys. Stop. One time he came home and he had Gatorade, and he gave me Gatorade, and it was fruit punch. I'm not a big fruit punch fan. It's not that I don't like it. It's just very sweet, I think. So anyways, he gave me this fruit punch, and instead of looking at it and saying, wow, like he thought of me, my response was, I don't like fruit punch. And he looked at me and he's like, are you serious? He's like, I brought you something. You complain if I don't bring you something, and then you complain if I do bring you something. So he's like, you're not happy with what I gave you. And so the Lord often uses that to teach me things and to show me things. He's like, you put an expectation on him to do something for you. And then when he did start to do something for you, you still had an expectation of something. You expected him to be able to do it the way you wanted him to do it, or to think how you wanted him to think. So I'm learning not to put expectations on things, not to expect things from people. My husband is moved to the point where he now, if he does go to the store, because this was years ago that the incident with the Gatorade happened, but when he does go to the store now, like, he will get something. Like, if he gets himself a Kit Kat bar, he'll throw in, and it's not just one or two things, like, he'll throw in like a bag of things. Here, honey, look, I got some peanut M&Ms, and I got a Snickers bar. Like, he'll throw in ice cream. He'll throw all this stuff in here. I got you something so you can pick what you want. So he is learning. He's learning to meet needs in someone other than himself. And at the same point, I am learning not to be selfish and to want things for myself and to help him along his journey and path. Sorry, guys. So, I think it's really important that we give people room to make mistakes, that we meet them where they are and realize that they may have come a long way. Sorry, guys. Months ago, my husband decided he wanted a puppy. We already had 2 dogs, but he wanted a puppy because he travels a lot and he wanted to take this puppy with him. But the puppy does not like to travel, so it didn't work out. So anyways, I have 3 dogs and I've been training a puppy for a while. She's a good dog, but she tends to excite the other dogs. So again, this is patience the Lord's teaching me. Hey, I'm going to give you a dog. I'm going to give you another puppy. And you're going to learn how to have more patience with things. So, to give grace to somebody and to allow them to make mistakes, to allow them a space and a time and a period to grow, to learn to put someone else first. Because I really truly believe that that's why the Lord gave us marriages. That's why the Lord gave us family units. It was so we could learn to focus on someone other than ourselves. For the long time, I was very selfish in my life. I was very selfish in my marriage. I was selfish with my children. I wanted things to be about me. And This is stuff that the world taught me to do, and I had to get out of that. And even now, I still have to walk myself through that. Like, the world doesn't revolve around you, Susan. The world has nothing, like, it doesn't owe you anything. You're not entitled to anything. And so I constantly have to walk that out. That is part of that renewing of the mind. And my flesh always wants to rise up and speak what it wants to speak, think what it wants to think, say what it wants to say. So I am constantly pushing that down. And if I don't push it down, I'm going to get a thought that I shouldn't get. Or I'm going to possibly say something I shouldn't say. Or I'm going to act in a manner that I shouldn't act. If we give people room to make mistakes and give them room to grow, we're going to be able to show the love of Christ even more. When I think about how long it took for the Lord to reach me, I know that I ran from him. From the time I knew he was pursuing me, I ran from the Lord for 11 years before I finally surrendered. There are people that are still running from the Lord in my family. So while they're doing that, I need to give them the same grace that the Lord gave to me during those 11 years that I was running. So if my husband doesn't see things the way that I do, I need to be patient with him, because the Lord is patient with him. It's going to come a time where maybe the Lord won't be quite as patient with him, or maybe quite as patient with me, but I need grace from the Lord so I can give that grace to my husband, to my children, to my neighbors, and so I can love them where they are, so I can give them a place to come to open up and be themselves. And for all those times that my husband has a behavior or a mannerism of something that I would see a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old do, I have to understand that's what he's always done. That's what he's always known, because he's not walking with the Lord. He's not there yet. And so rather than to get upset with him because he does something that I think is childish, I need to give him the grace to do that until the Lord begins to work in him, work with him, and transform him. So it's a daily process. It's something that I have to remind myself every single day. And I found that when I do give him grace for these things, he gives me grace. The Lord gives me grace, and my husband gives me grace too. If I don't give him grace and I make a comment about that or say something about it, then usually I will get something from my husband that I don't want to receive. Maybe a little bit more of an attitude, or he gets frustrated with me, or he'll say, well, I'm not perfect, you know. I'm sharing these things with you guys so you can see, like, this is real. Like, this is what real life looks like. This is what the Christian walk looks like. It is crucifying yourself daily. It is dying to yourself, dying to your flesh, dying to your old nature and your old way of doing things, and learning how to live as Christ lived, walk as Christ walked. Let Christ live through you and love other people and touch other lives. But for him to do that, for the Lord to do that, we have to die to ourselves. And that's what I'm doing. It's the process I've been doing. And some things I am better at than other things. Some things I can do for a really good long stint, and then if I don't capture that thought, I'm going to say something that is not something that I should be saying, or I'm going to act in a manner that I shouldn't act. But the Lord gave me something through another sister, and so I'm going to share this with you because it really helped me. So now, if somebody does something or says something that offends me or bothers me or hurts my feelings, then I say, I'm not a victim. I forgive that person. I release them and I bless them. And when I do that, it helps me to keep my heart from hardening. It helps me to stay focused on, I am not a victim, because my flesh tells me all the time, you're a victim, Susan. I can't believe they said that to you. Or why didn't they think like that? Why didn't they act like that? You know, nobody cares about you. You know, these are things of the flesh. It's not something that the Lord would say. The Lord doesn't want me focused on myself. He wants me focused on him and his agenda and his kingdom. So I'm constantly fighting with my flesh because it always has something to say. It always has something to think. I never have to worry about what my flesh wants. It readily wants to come out. What I have to do is silence it. Learn how to love others. Learn how to put other people first. Learn how to walk in a manner that is worthy of my calling. So I just want to share that with you guys today, and I hope it helps you along your journey. Love people where they are. Give them grace and mercy to make mistakes. Give yourself grace and mercy to make mistakes. And just keep moving forward. And if you allow the Lord to change and reflect his way of doing things and not your way of doing things, you'll eventually get there. And you'll start to see the changes in your life. They'll manifest and you'll start to see them. So God bless you all. Take care.